Hello and welcome to Bart and Paul's Tarot Show. This week we're going to talk about pentagrams, those witchy things that people think is all to do with the devil. Is that what you think, Bart?
Depends which side is up, eh?
That's always a question. We're not going to go down that route of, two is up as a devil and all that kind of stuff, because it doesn't really help things. But I mean,
this is a dangerous subject nowadays with all this political correctness. You might offend someone, Paul.
I'm bound to offend someone, hopefully many people. It's just, if you say nothing, you offend people. And we've also got a tarot reading this week again. And this is from a guy. Here's the question, so you can think about it while we're doing the thing. So he says, my girlfriend...
Let them listen so they can think about it.
Okay. Cards are ready. Okay. My girlfriend has got a new job and we are moving to the Midlands. I'm not very good at meeting people. Will I be able to make new friends? Oh, he's a little bit, we presume it's a he, so we think he's a little bit shy.
And it's a bit strange times as well for socializing.
Right. Yeah, moving as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah, because you can't really, I hadn't thought of that. Well, that'll be an interesting tarot reading to do later on for you, Bart. So, pentagrams in the Book of Thoth. Where do you think we're going to find the pentagrams in the Book of Thoth, Bart?
Appendixes. That's where the most pictures are.
Appendixes, yeah. And what about tarot cards? Well, obviously, because the pentagram has 5 sides, it's related to number 5, which means it's all going to be to do with Geburah. And Geburah is the planet of Mars. And as we know, the 5 minor arcana, the 5 of Wands, the 5 of this, the 5 of Swords, and the 5 of Cups, they're going to have it because it's 5. And they're not easy cards to deal with, are they?
Depends which side is up, eh?
Okay, I think we've got a running joke here, haven't we? Right. So let's sort of work a bit through the old, what we know about pentagrams.
Yes.
First of all, the pentagram is a really ancient symbol. So it's a very ancient symbol. I mean, it's found all around the world and things. And one of the really interesting things, I think Isaac Newton discovered this because he did a very close analysis of the orbit of Venus. And he found that the orbit of Venus, because it sort of goes retrograde and then forward, it does that 5 times in a year, which creates a pentagram.
So the planet of Mars is connected to the planet of Venus.
Yes, Venus and Mars.
Interesting.
Yes. So it's not a big thing that people go on about, is it? But it is there. So as we know, as we said, on the tree of life, it's Geburah, it's Mars, it's on the lower part of the tree of life, and the lower part means it's low, it's off balance, and there's a lot more problems and issues. It's supposed to be less spiritual, but of course all numbers are spiritual. Mars isn't 5 isn't an evil number.
Primetal. How do you call primetal? It's a number that's only divisible by 1 in itself.
Prime. It's a prime number. Yes. So it's a unique number. 1 times 5, basically. That's all you can do with a 5 thing. So what's the next thing, Bart? It's to do with the 4 elements and spirit, isn't it?
Yes. The mastery. So the pentagram. I just read in the Book of Thoth that Crowley introduced the pentagram to demonstrate the mastery of spirit over the 4 elements. Yeah. So it's also called the triumph of man.
Yes, it's interesting. Which is that symbol, yes, which Leonardo da Vinci famously drew, didn't he? And number 5, of course, is related to the 5 senses.
Tattvas, I saw.
Yeah, there's 5 tattvas as well. Yes. Yeah, they're the Hindu symbols of the 5 elements that come onto all of this too. So there's many kind of things, the 5 fingers, 4 on a thumb.
But mainly when you look at the symbolic meaning of a pentagram, it's 5, but it's also 4 plus 1.
Yeah.
It represents the 4 elements, the 4 cherubs, the 4 whatever, plus one on top that dominates them all.
And as we know, 4 relates to magic, book 4 as well, plus the unity that's going with it too. And the thing is that polygons, squares, triangles, heptagons, pentagrams, heptagrams, octagrams, they're all called polygons. And they're an important aspect of the Golden Dawn teaching. Week before, we did the unicursal hexagram, which is a way of because in a normal hexagram you have 2 separate triangles upwards and downwards, and you can't join them up. With the unicursal hexagram, you can. And of course, with a pentagram, you can also do it in one smooth movement as well.
It is a bit tricky though. Have you ever tried to draw a unicursal hexagram in the air? It takes a bit of practice, eh?
Well, keep on with your banishings and your invokings, and you'll get really good at it.
I have here the Golden Dawn definition of a pentagram.
Okay, yeah, go on then, go for it.
Since you mentioned polygons and polygrams, and it was under this chapter of the Golden Dawn book of Israel Regardi.
Right.
Yes. The pentagram with a single point upwards is called the sign of the microcosm and is a good symbol representing man with his arms and legs extended, adoring his creator, and especially the dominion of the spirits over the 4 elements and consequently of reason over matter. But with the single point downwards, it is a very evil symbol. The head of the goat or demon's head, representing the abasement of reason beneath the blind forces of matter, the elevation of anarchy above order, and of conflicting forces driven by chance above God. It represents the concentrated force of the spirit and the 4 elements governed by the 5 letters of the name of the restorer of all things, Yod, He, what is it? Shin, Vav, He. And it is especially attributed to the planet Mars. It also shows the cherubim and the wheel of the spirit. That's what Golden Dawn has to say about it.
There we go. Israel Regardi, he's the voice of the Golden Dawn. So
he was the Israel Crowley before Israel Crowley was.
Well, he was a secretary to Crowley as well.
Paul, cut this out. I totally cocked up what I said here. He was the Aleister Crowley of his time before there was an Aleister Crowley.
Okay, there we go. So you need to do a little bit more of a gap sometimes before you say something. A few more seconds.
Yeah, I think faster than I talk. My words.
We might leave it in, So we're not going to talk a lot about the mathematics or the geometry of the pentagram because we're not mathematicians. But the angle between the arms of a pentagram is exactly 72 degrees, which is a really significant number because, of course, 72 is the number of the 72 names, and it also gives us the number of Goetia as well. So it's a way of elementally structuring the spiritual forces that are connected with all of these things as well. So this is non-trivial stuff, Bart.
No, I know.
Don't go messing.
5 times 72 is 360, and 360 is also an important number.
Very important. Yeah. We're back into important things here, non-trivial stuff. Before we go on to the book of Thoth, I feel a tarot reading coming on. Where are your cards, Bart?
They were just listening to.
My girlfriend has got a new job and we are moving to the Midlands. Maybe she's getting more money than he is. Or if it's a girl-girl relationship, maybe the girl getting the new job has got more money. I'm not very good at meeting people. It's a bit shy. Will I be able to make new friends? Ace of Wands, new starts, new beginnings. 2 of discs, lots of change.
All about the money.
So what we have the 10 of Wands, oppression, adjustment card, and the Ace of Wands. I would go, because we had the Ace of Swords. Because we had the Ace of Wands the first time round, that gives us two aces.
Two aces.
Two aces always means a move.
It means, and it means a lot of potential as well.
Yeah, lots of change going on there. So you definitely do move. The adjustment card, or Justice, if you know the Rider-Waite deck, is all to do with Libra. And Libra is about balance and harmony, and it's a social card as well. It's dealing with people. And then we have a 10 of Wands in there, which is giving the pressure on things. What was the other two of discs, wasn't it? So,
and the Ace of Wands.
The Ace of Wands. So there's a lot of air and lots of fire in all of this, isn't there? There's a little bit of earth.
No cups, though. No cups.
No cups. So it's a little bit. It might be that maybe this person, the girl that's moving up there for the job, it seems maybe all her social life is to do with work. The whole removal situation is to do with the brain, not with the heart. They are not moving because they would like to move, or because they're not happy where they are. They are moving because of a reason, a reasonable reason. Yeah.
Not with their hearts. Not
with their hearts. But if you think too much, it gets harder for you as well. So I would say that she does make new friends, because the Justice card there, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it, but I mean, the Justice card is a good card. Adjustment card is a good card for socializing.
And there was no bad signs of swords either. I mean, the Ace of Swords.
No, it's good. It's good. So you just have to be, it might be things a little bit formal for a while. And of course, we're in lockdown still, even though it's supposed to be easing next month. But it's still, it's actually using an excuse, not to meet people too much because of lockdown.
Well, the cards are a good sign. I would say, you have adjustment in the middle.
Yeah.
So which means you have to balance out things. And on one side you have oppression.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're a bit reluctant. It doesn't really feel like it.
Yeah. But it's like meeting anybody new can be stressful, can't it? Yeah, just because you don't know quite where it's going to go. But I would think maybe there's a lot of formal things going on in here. And also because it's Libra, and Libra is to do with balance and harmony, it's also dancing. So it'll have to be sort of...
It also means karma. It is a bit what you make of it.
Yeah. I just don't get too wound up about the whole sort of stuff. It looks a really good picture. Yeah. There's not a lot to worry about. I think you'll be fine in the Midlands.
About a thing, because every little thing is gonna be all right. All right.
That was a really bad impression of Bob Marley there.
Don't lose your day job, love. That's what my wife always says.
Listen to your wife.
I had no ambitions of becoming a singer anyway.
Thank God for that. You saved the world, I think, there, Bart.
How could we summarize this now for this person? Will he make new friends in the Midlands?
Yes. The Justice card, I mean, is about social things and everything else. So it's a very good sign. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself. And maybe a bit of a wallflower, and just sort of take it easy. And I think it'd be fine. It's not big. It's good cards for it, So enjoy the Midlands. How does Crowley describe? Some of the things we've already said, he actually kind of mentions.
Yeah.
So the Pentagram of Salvation, Bart.
Symbol of the triumph of man.
Yes.
I've written both these things down on the yes.
And he actually calls it the Pentagram of Salvation as well. Salvation is to save you, is to bring you out of iniquity. And
is Jesus. This will become later. Yod Hey Vav Hey. If you take the Tetragrammaton and you shove Shin in between, you get the name of Jesus. So it actually means that, again, the dominion of spirit over the 4 elements.
Yes. And also, Shin has 2 functions. It's actually related to fire, and it is also related to spirit. The other letter that does that is Tau, because Tau has a double function of being Saturn and the element Earth, because there's no Earth in the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. There is one card that has a multiplicity of polygons on them, and that is the Hierophant. And Crowley directly refers to the Hierophant as the dancing male child, which I presume is the child at the center of the pentagram. And he calls this the new aeon of the child Horus. And if you look closely, so the child at the center on the breast of the Hierophant, he's enclosed in a pentagram pointing up. And what do we see around that pentagram part?
Another pentagram.
Another one. It's an extended pentagram as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's according to the Golden Dawn rules, that would be an evil pentagram.
But it's not here, is it?
No, it's not here, yeah.
Because you actually have the woman girt with a sword, which is actually a symbol of adjustment. And we just had that in the reading.
Can't this be considered balancing out?
Yeah, because she has a bow there, so that's a symbol of Diana as well, I think, isn't it? And also, we're not doing hexagrams this week, but you can actually see a hexagram slightly in the background of the figure as well.
It's not a universal one, though.
No. And we also have the aureole around the head of the priest, which is a 5-lettered window. So we're back to 5s again.
Yes.
And of course, the Hierophant is number 5, V. It's the 6th letter, V, but it's 5.
Yes.
Just to, explain. We're not going to bother explaining, but it's just one of those things that happens. And it also occurred to me that Crowley also calls himself in the High Priestess, because we're probably looking at the High Priestess, the woman at the bottom of the Hierophant card, as VVVVV,
yes,
the Prince of the Camel as well. So this pulls it all back to the center of the Kabbalistic tree of life, the middle pillar, rather than just seeing it on the pillar of severity lower down, which is evil and negative. But of course, this card is highly symmetrical as well, isn't it? It's a card of balancing and sort of earthing things, I guess you can also say as well, can't you?
Actually, when you dive into the symbolics of the pentagram a bit, this card is a giant pentagram.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything on it refers to the pentagram, and altogether it forms all the symbols of the pentagram on one.
And the hexagram. And on the middle pillar.
Yes.
So in essence, this card is more about the pentagram than the 5s are in the minor arcana.
Yes, but the 5s are connected to the pentagram just because of the number 5, while this card is connected to the pentagram because of the whole meaning of the symbol.
So we're expecting to see pentagrams on the 5s anyway. But let's we're basically doing this in the order that they appear in the Book of Thoth. So the next one that turns up is it's an interesting one, because where is the pentagram on the fortune card?
I was also looking for it. Yes, and of course we both know where we found it.
Where is it?
It's sitting right on top of the wheel.
Is it?
It is there. What do we see on top of the wheel there? It's a Sphinx.
On top of the, oh yeah, because this is actually the comment about the pentagram is actually in a footnote on the fortune card.
Yes.
So this is where Crowley sums up the pentagram as relating to the Sphinx. You see. So he says, these are the four elements summed in a fifth spirit to form the pentagram. And the magical virtue corresponding is ire, to go. To go is the token of Godhead, as explained in reference to the sandal strap or ankh, the crux ansata, which in its turn is identical with the astrological symbol of Venus, comprising the 10 Sephirot.
Or the 10 spokes of the wheel.
So remember we said right at the start, the orbit of Venus creates a pentagram. So here is Crowley explicitly relating that to that, and also seeing it in terms of a double 2 times 5 to give 10 as well, because you can create the symbol of Venus, the circle with the cross at the bottom. You can use that to cover all of the points on the Kabbalistic tree of life as well. So Venus is a more holistic picture of the 5 than Mars is, because Venus it goes through the center, and it's a feminine energy which balances the off-balance masculine energy. Men, typical, eh?
It's the Rose Cross, Paul.
Yes, the Rose Cross. We're back to that, aren't we? See, and also the ankh and that crux ansata, that's the hanged man, which doesn't have a particular reference to the pentagram. See, this is the way Crowley works. He's constantly referring to other cards when he's talking about one card. It's never one thing on its own. And there's a surprising one.
It's never twice the same with him either, though.
No, it changes, yeah. And there's a strange one of the 4 aces, because the aces, of course, represent spirits, and there's 4 of them. And he actually has an explicit reference to the triumph of man again in all of this. So he's bringing in aces as spirits to also relate to the pentagram. And they rule the quadrants of the world, starting at the Great Pyramid as well. And there is a fascinating reference, which we will come to. The Great Pyramid figures very strongly in this story, as we will see. So we've done the major arcana. The minor arcana we're going to do next. We've done the aces. There are no court cards in this, because court cards essentially don't have an order. They're more elemental as such. And of course, you can put the aces with the court cards to create the tablet of union if you want to as well. So let's move on to the 5 of Cups disappointment. And what does Crowley say about this, Bart?
These cups are arranged in the form of an inverted pentagram, symbolizing the triumph of matter over spirit.
Yes.
I have noticed, I hope I'm not running ahead by saying this, but all the 5s are inverted.
Yeah.
There is on the minor arcana, there is not one upright pentagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, that's a bit striking.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reinforces the view that tarot readers have of these cards as well.
It makes the card look bad straight away. When you pull a card and it shows an inverted pentagram, people start wetting their seats.
Five of Swords defeat.
Is also such a charming card. Eh?
Yes. What does it say about?
The hilts of the swords form the inverted pentagram, always a symbol of a somewhat sinister tendency.
Yes. And as we know, of course, there are some swastikas in there, which, you know, Crowley was Fred Harris's creating this deck during the Second World War. So the Nazi symbols of the swastika are falling apart. You have to be careful of this one because the swastika is an ancient symbol of the revolution of the sun, basically, and everything else. And the Nazis subverted the whole kind of system thing. So this is the problem with symbols. They tend to be whatever you want them to mean at the time.
You have to admire Crowley and Harris, I find, for having made such a timeless deck in such a special time in history.
Yes.
Because I can imagine the temptation must have been there to try to make war a major topic in the deck. And they managed to, except for that little reference.
Yeah, yeah. They could have made it far more contemporary than they did.
Yes.
It's obviously a product of its time, but it's also timeless as well. It's a strange sort of thing.
Which is nice, because if you read a lot of these, like you read Eliphas Levi, Dogma and Ritual.
Yeah.
The introduction is all about contemporary things. He's making reference to people of his time. He's making reference to events of his time. But if you read this now, it's long and tedious.
It's dated. It's dated.
Yeah, it is. But the Thoth Tarot deck has managed to avoid that. I think it's totally timeless. You can't put a date on it.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is. It's the best.
It's the best. So as we're working through the book of Thoth, and the next card that mentions the pentagram is not the 5 of discs. It's actually the Ace of discs. Okay. Then there are actually 2 interlaced pentagrams right at the center, which is they've done in a slightly in a different way to the into the pentagrams that show on the Hierophant card. So he's forming a decagon, and decagon is, of course, is 10. That relates to the 10 Sephiros on the Tree of Life. And in the center, he has, in the circle around it, he has Omega Therion, which is the Master Therion. And those words have 12 or 6 times 2 letters. So he's relating things back to this whole sort of system that's going on here as well. There's tons and tons of stuff. Yes, Bart, go for it.
Are you aware that this card, the Ace of Discs, let me show you. I hope I can find it smoothly. When you have a white box, Paul, if you do have a white box and you want to check if you have a Hong Kong one, and certain Llewellyn Made in USA's ones have a printing error on the Ace of Wands, on the Ace of Discs. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Now, this is the card upright.
Yes.
And if you look carefully, you can see that the 666 in the middle is upside down.
Yes.
So the whole picture, the whole image of the painting is actually printed upside down on this card.
Someone needs to be shot.
I probably already did that person. So, but yeah, so this is a way of checking if your Hong Kong deck is real. This needs to be printed upside down. So with these.
So, you know, don't just go by printing errors when you look at the symbolism of the cards, because you'll get into trouble with Bart anyway. So, then we come to the 5 of discs, worry.
Another inverted pentagram.
The interesting thing about this one is that it also has an elongated downward point, just as in the Hierophant card.
Yes.
And on this one, it also has the symbols of the tattvas.
Yes. Now, this I was going to ask you about. In the Book of Thoth, how does he mention it? The symbols of the tattvas make this inverted pentagram less evil, because the tattvas are holding everything together somehow.
Yeah, yeah. It's the forces, you know, there's forces counterbalancing things. And when something spins, you know, there's pushing it out, but there's something holds them together. So it's doing very much a balancing and harmonizing act.
It's like the little LEDs you put on your wheel when they replace your tires to balance out.
The little weights they put in. It's all there. It's all there. We've missed out a card, haven't we?
Have we? Oh, yeah, but there's no pentagram on it. Eh?
The Five of Wands.
Yeah, exactly.
Has no pentagram.
No, it doesn't. Don't you have a picture of the? Yeah, you can put a picture of the Five of Wands on later.
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah, I was also struck by that. That was quite peculiar. It is the only
Five of Wands. It has the various wands on there.
Yes, it does. It is,
but it has no pentacles.
Not an upright.
What is going on there? It took me, I had to think about this, and it actually came to me last night when I went to bed. The thing is, when does the zodiac for the Golden Dawn start? When and where?
For the Golden Dawn, you have one in Aries and you have one in Leo, Astarte. Which one do you mean?
It's got to be Leo, isn't it? He starts at Leo. It's the beginning of the zodiac thing. It's not Aries, not the Two of Wands, it's the Five of Wands. And when you refer back to the Five of Wands, it's Saturn ruling that decadence of Leo. And then you have to think back, because you notice when we're talking about the Hierophant in particular, very much this emphasis on the central axis, the middle pillar. Okay. So Saturn is in Bina, but on the unicursal hexagram, of course, Saturn is the point at the top at Dart, halfway between Tiphareth and Keter. So this card is all to do with the unicursal hexagram and not to do with the five-pointed pentagram. This is the one that creates the balance and unifies the hexagram and the pentagram systems, which is kind of implicit in the Hierophant card. And of course, we also mentioned, didn't we, the thing about the 72 names and the 72 Goetia and things. They relate to the zodiac pattern as well. We haven't got to the end of it. Yes. So in the appendix to the Book of Thoth, Crowley includes 3 pentagrams, okay, on one page, including, it's on the same page as it has with the hexagram, funnily enough, as well. The first one, he has the elements and their symbols. So we have spirit at top, water on the right-hand side, air on the left, and then earth on the lower left and fire on the lower right. This is all to do with the Enochian watchtowers as well. You know, this video is not...
As well in the Golden Dawn.
Yeah, yeah. So you bring in all of that system in as well. You know, so this would also be about invoking and evoking things. This is not what this video is about. We're just trying to show that what a fascinating thing is going on here with pentagrams, far more than you ever thought, imagined. And then the second one is the elemental weapons.
It's difficult to make out what's written there.
Yeah, because this is taken from the Book of Thoth, and actually I think there's better, clearer diagrams in book form magic from this. Well, we're going with things here, and at the top we have the lamp, which is also to do which you see in the Hierophant card, and then we have the sword on the left hand side, which is also the fan and the dagger and the rose, because it's a perfume. That's the air symbol. On the right-hand side, we have the cup, which is the something of Stellistes, isn't it? The cup of Stellistes, I think, and something else, which eludes me at this moment. And then on the bottom left, we have the pentacle, the mark of the beast, I think it says there. And then we have the wands, which is the thurible and the flame as well. So these are the elemental weapons that Crowley includes in the Book of Thoth. It's all there. You think the Book of Thoth's about divination, but actually a lot more going on. Yes, Bart?
So that means actually there's a pentagram around the Magus as well then?
Yes, there is, because he's juggling the we missed that one off, didn't we? Bloody hell.
Yes, we did, no, just realized
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Going around the Magus.
Oh. So, well, you know, the Magus as well, you see. So it's ubiquitous, isn't it? Everywhere. And then,
the
sorry?
and the universe.
Is there a pentagram in the universe?
No, but it has the 4 cherubs in the corner and the lady in the middle.
Yeah, well, they have quite a few cards have cherubs, actually.
Well, these are each probably means the mastery of the
4 omens, yeah. It's the cherubic signs, the fixed signs. We also have a symbol.
I think you could see a pentagram on that card.
Yes, yes. Depends on how many drugs you're having at the moment. And then we also have the Sphinx as well, which has the 5 points to go, to be silent, and all these other things as well. We already described that in a previous in the fortune card. To know, to dare, to will, and to be silent, and to go, which Crowley talks about.
But that's the 5th one, eh?
In the fortune card, you see. So this is all being mashed up.
Which one? And the 4 cherubs, the 4 magical virtues, and the 4 elements.
Yes. So we have this is to do with the Sphinx as well, which is a powerful magical system in itself. So we're kind of having 3 systems going on here at once. The whole thing with the center of the tree of life, which he raised it to the unicursal hexagram, the 4 elements plus spirit, the Sphinx, the aces around the pole we've talked about, and we remember I said that the aces, the order of the aces around the pole and the world, the meridian is the Great Pyramid. Okay, that's what Crowley says, and I think the Golden Dawn says this as well. This is the occult meridian, not Greenwich meridian, which is just down the road from where I live. Actually, we're just off the Greenwich meridian here, just by
so when the world is divided in 4 quarters, you know, for the 4 aces, then it has to go through the pyramids. Eh?
It starts at the pyramid. Yes. With it goes in Yod Hey Vav Hey order basically as well. But there's something else that the pentagram relates to. It's to do with the elements, and the link is the Great Pyramid.
Is it?
It is. Yes, it is. I wasn't necessarily asking for a. So how would that works? Well, in the Book of Thoth, after the 10 of discs, okay, which is the last card that Crowley talks about. It does the major arcana, the court cards, and then the minor arcana. And then there's just a gap between that and the mnemonics when he does the 22 verses.
The general characters of the trumpet.
Yes. He includes an invocation. Okay. And this invocation has 10 lines basically, which Crowley is also, we've already indicated as well, because that's 2 times the 5. Okay, there's 2 aspects to the spirit and things here. So, and this invocation includes the 5 elements. It starts with fire, it goes on to earth, goes on to water, goes on to air, and then it finally completes with spirit. And this is essentially working your way around the pentagram. And who is this invocation to? It's something that you're supposed to do on a daily basis. Who is this invocation to?
Aiwass.
The praise of human spirit who dictated the Book of the Law to Aleister Crowley in the Great Pyramid.
In the Great Pyramid, exactly.
See? All comes round in a circle to the beginning again. And there's a special treat for you. I will try not to butcher this invocation. Here goes. This is the invocation to Aiwass. Aiwass, confirm my troth with thee. My will inspire with secret sperm of subtle, free, creating fire. Mold thou my very flesh as thine. Renew my birth in childhood merry as divine, enchanted earth. Dissolve my rapture in thine own, a sacred slaughter, whereby to capture and atone the soul of water. Fill thou my mind with gleaming thought, intense and rare, to one refined, outflung to naught, the word of air. Most, by bridal bound, my quintessential form, thus freeing from self, be found one selfhood, blent in spirit being. There are actually two invocations in the Book of Thoth. The first one is to Hua and Heru, which is supposed to do at the start of a tarot reading. And of course, the stages, the opening key spread start with the four elements, basically Yod, He, Vav, He. But this one is in the pentagram order, other things as well, and Aiwass as well. So if you want to do belts and braces, magic and stuff with the Book of Thoth, we need to include both, don't we?
I have searched this invocation elsewhere. I have not found it. This is he's only written this in the Book of Thoth.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I found as well. I couldn't find it anywhere else except here. So what have you learned today, Bart? Well,
we've learned that Crowley was very fond of pentagrams.
Yes.
Anyway, up. Didn't matter. We always know he was not fussy when he was not a fussy man when it came to that, the pentagrams and stuff.
On that bombshell, we're not quite sure what we're going to do for the next video. So we might do the hexagram, because we've done the universal hexagram, but we could also go through the hexagram in the Book of Thoth. We could do the heptagon in the Book of Thoth as well.
Or if anybody has a subject that they are dying to know more about,
yeah, and let us off the hook.
No, save us the job of looking for something.
Exactly. Yeah. What are you interested in? We're open to stuff. We don't know where we're going on with this sometimes. We're just kind of following things.
Yes.
So these two, the universal hexagram. Sorry, what?
That we are two jokers here. We do everything.
Yeah, we're a couple of comedians, a couple of tricksters. We're proud of it. So, we want to take the Thoth tarot to where it can go. It's just a truly amazing tarot deck that Crowley bequeathed us with Lady Frida Harris. We're just scratching at the moment of what can be really done with it. But I hope that's giving you an inspiration as to what can be done with the tarot. It certainly inspired us, because we didn't quite realize when we started researching this where it would take us either.
But the more you get to know it, the thicker you discover that surface is, because it keeps scratching and scratching, and you still only touch the surface.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. And don't forget, if you want us to do a 3-card reading for you, get in touch with us. There's our tarot groups as well that we've got. The Bart's one, Thoth, and my one, the Book of Thoth, as well, on Facebook. If you want a reading from me, get in touch with me on Hughes-Barlow.com and put some likes, put some comments, share the love, and hopefully we'll see you in the next episode doing something.
Yes, hopefully next week.